Hello, this is Rage Quitter, and this is a video on my thoughts on the best class setup for the Heavy Shield in Advanced Warfare. In the background, you'll see some gameplay of the Heavy Shield on the map Biolab. Before we talk about the best class, I want to first talk about the concept of plasticity, because I think this concept is critical to understand my reasoning and my thoughts on building the best Heavy Shield class setup. Plasticity is the ability to adapt through time, or to change. You know, like in neuroscience, when we talk about neuroplasticity, it's the ability of the brain to adapt through experiences. In Advanced Warfare and in Call of Duty in general, I think the best players are the ones that can adapt, the ones that can change their playstyle to best counter and attack their enemies. So plasticity is important when thinking about the best class setup. Any player in Call of Duty that plays the same style, plays the same way over and over and over again, not only is it monotonous and boring, but eventually you'll run into a player that can counter your class. This happened to me a couple months back when I was playing with Shield Your Home, and we ran into a lobby with FPS Dread, and he used the counter shield class. Basically, his secondary overkill weapon was the NA45. If you missed this game, I'll put a card link above. Ever since that day, I've had a class set up with Flak Jacket just in case I run into a lobby with someone using the NA45 or any type of explosive. So bottom line is plasticity is going to be critical, and the plasticity of a player, the ability to adapt, changes through lobby to lobby, but it also changes as the metagame changes. So for instance, I would use Overclock a lot as my EXO ability at the beginning of the game. But ever since the discovery of the insta-kill technique, now I'm always using Exo Shield, because with Exo Shield we can do the insta-kill technique. Well, that being said, there are some core perks that I always tend to gravitate towards in every class build, and let's go over those now. In Tier 1, I like to use Low Profile because this lets me stay off the radar and run flank routes. In Tier 2, I like to use Fast Hands because with Fast Hands I'm able to throw the spike drone out faster. A lot of times, especially when I'm up against an opponent using a fast-firing weapon such as an MP11 or ASM-1, without Fast Hands, I'm dead before the spike drone's released. With Fast Hands though, I can throw the spike drone and recover my shield fast enough to block enough bullets for the spike drone to reach its target. Fast Hands also helps with weapon swaps, but I don't think it's as critical as knowing how to do the insta-swap or fast swap techniques. In Tier 3, I like to use Blast Suppressor. That's because I tend to use a lot of the Exo movement boosting quite a bit during the game. And like I talked about before, I like to use Exo Shield and Spike Drone. For my secondary weapon, a lot of times I like to use the classic shield setup, and the classic shield setup is usually Akimbo pistols, and I think this is just a class setup that we've used for a long time in Call of Duty, a heavy shield with pistols as secondaries. So I kind of like it. It's kind of got that nostalgic feel to it when I play this way. So basically, now that I have a class with the basic core perks set up in Tier 1, 2, and 3, I set up multiple classes with these core perks, and then I put on different perks or different changes to that, different tweaks to the class, so to speak, depending on my goal or, you know, my idea, my concept, my playstyle for that particular class. So the class that I'm going to use against an NA45 lobby is going to have Flak Jacket. A class that I want to go around boost slamming people is going to have Overcharge on it. A class that I'm using when I play solo in a lobby where people are spamming Warbirds, I'm going to put on Blind Eye. Or a lobby where they're throwing out a lot of system hacks, I'm going to have Hardwired on. And then for my secondary, like I said, I like to use Akimbo pistols unless I'm going to go for a weapon challenge. Unless I'm, working on some challenges for the game, I'll put an assault rifle or a sniper as my secondary overkill weapon. And then, I like to use some of the score streaks, and this is just, whatever you want. Whatever your mood is, whatever you feel like doing that day, that's what you put on. So basically, bottom line is I have my class set up with the core perks, and I have multiple options with different variations of this to counter the type of player that I'm in. It also varies depending on the type of map that I'm in. So if I'm on a big map, I'll use either lightweight so I can run a little bit further, or I'll use an overkill weapon like a sniper rifle. Or I'll use 2 spike drones instead of 1 so that I can go for an extra shot when I go for Hail Marys with the spike drone. With multiple classes and multiple setups like this, I'm able to counter almost every opponent in every lobby because there's different variations of the shield that I use depending on the lobby and also the game mode that I'm in. I hope this makes sense, and I hope this explains my thoughts and my theory behind class build-ups and class setups in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. If you have questions about different perks as they relate to the Heavy Shield, just comment below and ask. I'll do my best to answer these as quick as possible, and as always, I'll see you on the next video.